Today, we're going to be talking about two powerful recruiting strategies that you probably aren't using. So hopefully you'll be able to get a nugget or two out of today's training. And this really came off of a poll I started running. The poll was basically, what is every recruiting company and recruiter's main focus right now? And the four options that I laid out were, filling roles, getting new clients, implementing systems and processes, and growing the team. And by far, in both polls, both in this group here, as well as on the LinkedIn poll, over 70% of people are filling roles. Surprise, surprise. The market's hot. You guys all know that are watching right now. Now, if you aren't, or you're just getting in and just getting established, you may not be in the boat where you're overwhelmed with new opportunities, but the time will come. So, a couple of the traps that happen as we get into these really competitive markets when we're in the recruiting here, the amount of competition that's reaching out to the same candidates, right? And so when we're using a lot of the same approaches, which when I'm going to say same approaches like cold calling or just standard, one-off emails, I think is what most recruiters start with. A lot of times we just get mixed up in the noise, and that creates the challenge of how many roles we might be busy, but how much revenue are we actually making? And I think that's one of the challenges in this recruiting industry. Sometimes I see people that get prideful on how many job orders they have, but how many of these job orders are really workable? Do you have an opportunity to fill? And this is kind of another training, but it's important. That's why it's really important to be able to establish your authority and expertise and get more exclusive or retained type of searches so that you have more of a guarantee of money returned based off of your effort you're going to put out there. Because again, with how much hiring is going on right now, if you put yourself into a candidate's shoes, they're getting hit up from every single angle. So today we'll dive right into it. It's a very basic training, and we're going to share, like I said, two powerful strategies. They're just a little bit outside of the box thinking, help you with this whole thing. So the first is really having the ability to run a multi-channel drip campaign. Okay. And what I mean by that is being able to, have a drip campaign that includes email as well as text message. And text messaging alone, if you aren't using text messaging as a strategy, can be great. But the whole idea with the drip is really important. And the reason is because the fortune's really in the follow-up. And if all of your recruiting process right now, when you're trying to reach out to candidates, is manual and based off of your effort, there's a lot that's going to get slipped through the cracks there. And the reason being is because as you're doing the outreach to these people, let's face it, we're human. The follow-up can be challenging. The follow-up can be challenging just from an execution. The follow-up can be challenging from the mindset. Oh, they didn't respond to my first message. Why would they respond to my second message, and things like that? So when I'm using more of an automated drip email campaign that incorporates some text message, typically it's going to elicit a greater response. And the reason being is because most people don't respond right away to messages. And if you're thinking about that, think about how many times somebody's emailed you with something that's interesting, you like it, you're actually reading it, you're considering responding, and then all of a sudden, boom, your husband or wife calls and you're distracted, that email goes away, life goes on. And so having the ability to have drip campaigns so you can follow up without your effort will drastically, increase your response rates. And, if you're doing this right, you can actually personalize this outreach. And so what I would recommend with this whole strategy is first, wherever you're gathering that information, and there's a lot of different sources to gather information online right now, is make sure that information is clean. Second is when you're sending out, a list, and when I'm talking about this, you can do this on a one-off, but I think you're going to have more productivity and hit more singles and get more responses if you're obviously putting more people through a campaign. So if you're putting several people through a campaign, if I can get a list, let's say, and don't get married to the numbers here, but I'm just going to say, hey, 10, 20, 25, potential candidates. And they all have a very similar background, and they all have obviously a similar position title. Then we can start to personalize our message more to those people. And so typically what we would do is like, hey, we'll start a campaign on a Tuesday. That first email that goes out, it has most of the meat and potatoes, right? Most of what we're trying to go to hook and sell them on. Then 2 days later, we would pop them with a follow-up message. Hey, John, just wanted to resurface the message. And that way we can keep this conversation going. I think what you'll find when you're doing drip campaigns is that it's usually on message 2 and 3 where most of your response is going to come from. Okay. And I know for some of you, and I'd be curious, go in the comments below it right now if you're actually running drip campaigns, because I always assumed that most recruiting companies were doing drip campaigns. And what I found out is there's probably about 50% of people are actually actively utilizing email drip campaigns for candidate sourcing. I know people are using email, but actually using a drip campaign to help support that. So if you can go in the comments, I'd just be curious if you're actually already using drip campaigns. Now, the email and text thing integration is going to require a specific software to get that done, where you can integrate both of those touch points, right? And the cool thing there is you can actually create some really frictionless type of messaging where, you can send somebody the email based off of that, once they don't respond to that email, a couple hours later, you can send them a text and say, hey, John, this is Donnie over here. Hey, don't need to respond to this text message, but go ahead, take a look at that email I just sent over to you. Wanted to make sure it hit your inbox. And just by doing that additional touch point is going to, again, create more response. And this is, again, because there's so much competition, we have to be great at capturing that competition. Keep in mind, when you're looking at this whole concept, when you're competing, we're in a different world now where we're competing for people's attention. It's not just about you and your competitor. It's really a competition for attention. Why? Because, well, we've got these little cell phones that we're walking around with in our hands all day long. Life in general is just much more fast paced. People's attention spans in general, I didn't do this, I didn't come with the research, is much, much shorter. And so you want to make sure that we're doing everything we possibly can to drip and stay top of mind with the people that we're reaching out to. So drip email campaigns, if you just did that alone, is a huge win. If you can incorporate a text campaign with it, even better, because now we have multiple platforms. When I have multiple platforms and we can get them in sync like that, it really actually seems a lot more personalized, right? Because you're like, oh shoot, like this person actually sent me a text in addition to it, right? So the challenge with text is obviously it's a lot more challenging to get text data than it is to get emails. You can get emails almost anywhere now. But the text data, it's harder to get, I should say, in bulk. Now, of course, it's out there. There's a lot of different platforms that will help you with that and find the data. But at the very least, you should be running the text campaign. Let's see. God's Will, Emmanuel, never heard of it. Awesome. Angelique Peterson, I've been doing it manually, so less effective. Wish I knew this, but cool. So yeah, Angelique, if you can really start to add some more manual or automated follow-ups to your campaigns, you probably will see a greater response. Now, the challenge here is you got to cut out the noise of what a lot of people think. And when they think of automation, they think, oh, spammy. They think, oh, it's not personalized. Oh, people won't respond. If you're doing it right and you're personalized and you have very targeted lists, people respond to automation all day long. That's how I run my business, how I teach my clients to do it. This isn't theory. This is all proven stuff that we're talking about here. So that's the first one, is making sure you got some drip email campaigns rolling, and then making sure that if you can, incorporate some text on top of that. Now, just a couple plugs on 2 tools, and I'll go ahead and drop some info on these tools after this training here. Loxo does a great job of that email text integration, as does my buddy Tommy over there at All Pro Web Tools. Can help you with those types of things. So those are 2 platforms you can check out that can do text delivery and email delivery. So strategy number 2, okay, those of you who've been following me a while may have heard of this one, but I'm going to assume that you guys have not. So second strategy here is actually sending video direct messages, okay? And so rather than sending an actual email, we're going to go a step further. Now, this is a manual approach. This is nothing you're going to do in a bulk fashion. So, you can work your desk. However, if you only have one role, use this. If you've got multiple roles, you're probably going to use this on more your higher level or more your challenging searches, because again, it is a manual process. So what we do is we basically would go over to, a prospective candidate's LinkedIn profile. We would go through their profile, we would pull it up, and then there's a bunch of screen capture recording tools available now. So one of them, the one that I use and recommend, is called Loom. Use the tool, it basically captures and records the screen. And what we do is we actually record the screen of their LinkedIn profile. And then in the little corner, you've got a picture of yourself. And so here's the reason why I really like this. First and foremost, the approach is unique, right? How often are you getting a video message? You're getting emails every day, you're getting text messages every day, but how often is somebody sending you a personalized video message? Probably not very often would be my guess. Second would be, when we're doing the video message and we're recording the screen, if you saw, and I really want you guys to go in the comments and comment and let me know what you think though, but if you saw an image of yourself in your LinkedIn profile, would you at the very least click and open that video, right? My guess would be you probably would, right? Because it's personalized. And then the cool thing about these tools, you can actually put a headline. So you could say, hey, Donnie, let's talk, whatever you would want to put in there, right? But you can personalize the headline. So somebody sees their name, sees their LinkedIn image, and then they're going to be able to go ahead and open that up and watch a video. Now, once we get to the video, this is where I think the magic happens, because when you're sending a voice message or when you're sending a text message or when you're sending an email, there's no personality behind it, right? As you guys are watching this video of me and I'm delivering this information, you're also kind of getting to know who I am, how I interact, that I'm kind of goofy. I make some stupid jokes on here sometimes. But ultimately, you guys get a sense of my energy, right? And so when you're doing a video presentation, you could actually, display your energy of how excited you are about this role and their potential fit in it, right? So you come up, you record their video screen. Hey, Mark, I see that, you're a director of IT, wanted to reach out because I've just recently been retained by, XYZ company, and they're looking for a new director of IT. And, after reviewing your LinkedIn profile, it looks like you're a good fit. Before we get into that, though, I just wanted to see and learn a little bit more about what you've got going on with your career, what your next, goals are. And, we can talk about this job if it's a fit. But either way, I wish you luck and wish you on your way. Just by having that approach, starting that conversation, you will be blown away at what your response rate can be. Just by sending those direct video message outreaches. So now that can be done. I just kind of explained that and laid that out on LinkedIn, which I think is the very best place to do that. And I would say it's actually most effective when you do that to somebody you're connected with, not with through a LinkedIn InMail. Now, I would not tell you not to do it through a LinkedIn InMail, but when you're doing it with somebody through the LinkedIn direct messaging, what happens is it actually shows the preview of the video. And that's a big part of this strategy being effective. The other way you can actually deliver this, though, is you could technically deliver this via text message if you wanted to. Again, this would be more of a manual thing. If you had somebody, you could actually record this type of a video on your phone and then send that over to them. And you could also send these types of videos via email, right? But, could you imagine if you were a candidate and a recruiter comes in, completely different approach than the next guy? You can see your excitement about the position. You can see your genuine interest in helping them advance their career. None of that's going to get left onto, oh, great, I've just read this message before. Sure, you're really interested in my career and my advance. And you can show that, and people can get to know your personality. Now, of course, you're not going to land everybody this way. That's a whole different thing. But what happens is, who do you think they're going to remember next time around? Are they going to remember the person that sent the text message? Are they going to remember the person that sent the generic email or even the phone call? Or are they going to remember the person that sent them that personalized video note? I think the answer there is probably pretty obvious, right? So this is a great thing to help you kick it over the edge. And the cool thing about these two strategies that I just laid out, kind of more on the recruiting side, once you understand them, they're easily implemented on the business development side. The cool thing about recruiting that I think people overthink is it's just a people business, right? You're basically selling on both sides. People are people. And once you learn how to use these strategies, you can do drip email campaigns and text message campaigns to acquire new clients. You can do, direct video messaging outreach to, getting involved with new candidates. So those are the two strategies. Again, these are very proven. They're very effective. A couple of bonus strategies I'm going to throw out to you guys, to push this over the edge. If you're not leveraging any LinkedIn automation is another great way to leverage yourself and reach out to more contacts. Okay. The next thing would be just doing video marketing job postings. So not your typical job ad, but just from more of a branding standpoint. And this is a long-term play. This isn't a tactical play. This is more of a long-term branding play that, you should be doing in congruency with all the other, sourcing activities you're doing. So anytime you get a job in, what I would recommend, you record a video on the high level, and promote that position. Again, it's the same type of thing that's going to happen with the audience, is where they're going to get to know you. They're going to get to know your personality. And, if this role doesn't fit for them now, at least they get to buy into your brand and who you are. And as you continue to post videos like this, what you'll see, and a shock to a lot of my clients when they do it consistently is you will have very qualified candidates reach out to you. Okay. Now, these are not traditional recruiting tactics. Like I said, that's not a tactic that's going to work overnight. That is more of a long play tactic. But when you're thinking of it from a big level, what you're doing is you're increasing the ability and the exposure of your open role to your audience. You're increasing your personal brand and your exposure, for the audience. Hey, if you're trying to position yourself as being the IT recruiter, but then you're never posting any IT jobs to show that you're actually the IT recruiter, you're leaving stuff on the table. But if you're the IT recruiter and you're posting your open roles and you're doing it differently than the rest of your competitors, now you're gaining attention. Now you can become the authority and truly stand out in the marketplace. When you stand out in the marketplace, that's where the exclusive, the retained opportunities come into play. And one last story here for you. A client I worked with, and he used this strategy about 4 years ago. We came up with the strategy of posting videos. And the cool thing is, she posted a video. It was to promote a nurse practitioner position. It was my friend Shanna. When she posted that video, the thing that came out of it is she actually picked up a new client, because the client reached out to her and said, I've never seen anybody promote their jobs that way. It's the most creative thing. We've got 3 open roles. Can you work on it for us? So that is more of the big picture branding way of doing it there. But go into the comments now. That's all I have for you today. If you have any questions, feel free to drop them right now. I'd love to answer anything for you. But if you are at the point in your business where you're looking for, more proven strategies to, fill these roles faster, or if you are looking for a business development strategy, because one of the traps that most people get into when you're busy like this is the whole business development efforts have probably stopped for a lot of you. And that's all fine and dandy right now. But if we get another, shift, another COVID variant, another reason for the economy to be slowing down, you're gonna need to have a business development strategy that you can rely on. Okay, so now is the very best time to invest into yourself, into new tools, and the best time to actually run a business development strategy and implement these types of things is when you're busy, not when you're slow. So you can allow those things to take some momentum. So if you want to hop on a free call with me, I can talk to you about the Relevant Recruiter Method. The Relevant Recruiter Method is what I've helped hundreds of recruiters now implement. And it's an automated lead generation system that helps you enhance your personal brand, generate leads more automatically, and overall just, expand the exposure of who you are, who your team is, through your social media presence. So if you're interested in that, drop a comment in the comments below there, and I will reach out to you personally, or head over to donniegupton.com/book-a-call. And we will get you dialed in. We'll show exactly how, first thing we're going to do is really figure out where you're at now, where you're looking to go, what you're currently trying, what's working, what's not. And then we figure out if this Relevant Recruiter Method can help you take your recruiting and business development efforts to the next level, like it has already with 700 other folks. And I just talked to my buddy John Randolph today. He's going to hop on and do another live interview. We did an interview beginning of last year on his success, and he's just piled on a whole lot more this year. So I'm really excited. Keep an eye out for that interview in the next couple of weeks. But the Relevant Recruiter Method is literally increasing people's revenue by the hundreds of thousands, and you can be next too. So just drop that in below if you're interested in that. But until next time, this is Donnie Gupton. I'm out of here.